So I'm going to explain my 2022 Bob McDermott letter. We know the Bob McDermott letter. He writes a Bob McDermott letter. I wrote a Bob McDermott letter, and it was a letter to Bob McDermott in 2022. It is about the Northstar technology. So the Northstar, and since we are covered in the surveillance grid, ShotSpotter systems that they cover up in shows like, what is it, on A&E, the first 48 or something like that, when they use evidence of recordings made by these hypersensitive acoustic microphones like ShotSpotter, where they have to get warrants and they have to recover the physical device. No, they're all CIA interconnected, and they can hear the sound of the world from a combination of satellites and electric wires overhead, which themselves are made real-time sensing. And of course, that our phones are always listening to everything that we are doing. And have been transcribing in real time since before Alexa. By the way, it's interesting. The real conspiracy is in the truth. This is used for commercial real estate development, for foot traffic counts, and of course what people are talking about in their cars as they pass through areas. If you pair that with other information about the person, such as where they live, what their socioeconomic and historical and educational, all of that, you name it, background, all that background, it starts to yield some really deep insights. And it doesn't even have to go that deep. You just look at concentrations of words, or rather ideas exchanged between car passengers, let's say in the radius of a certain area. You'll know if you need a Target at a regional shopping center, if it's time for a Best Buy or a Costco in a growing rural outpost, read from a teleprompter here, in a southwestern state, such as like Yuma, Arizona, for example, right? So that if someone wants to dig up the desert play around Las Vegas to put in gas tanks for a Circle K gas station, it's less of a gamble based on a hunch about the location and the population and what you heard from someone you knew that heard something at a coffee shop before they had a Starbucks in that neck of the woods. And it's based more on actual indicators of consumer demand. But I digress. The same, and remember, 5G cell towers, all that, yeah, we know it. That's part of it, along with the other emissions on other so-called frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum. So yes, it can read your mind. We all know that. That's no secret. Don't bother with the tinfoil hat. And yes, it can control it too. This is Minority Report. This is person of interest stuff, so that these people are getting executed in Alabama. We're seeing all of this stuff in other places. We've got these executions big in the news. That's kind of just so they can make people say stuff like, that's not even a deterrent, because that guy did speedy execution. This was just, he was prosecuted years ago. You're kind of thinking about it. If you ask people that have done 10 years, I don't know, like here in California, Pelican Bay, it's tough there, but they're tough, but there's people that are not that physically agile, not in that kind of gang activity. For whatever reason, they did even like 3 years in jail. I did about 2.5, you added up. I can't say, it wasn't so bad, but it's like, it's if I had to face down a lifetime of that, yeah, probably, and I was 30 years into it, that guy, they want me to say that. I would never say that. That guy would be like, they're just going to take his body out of the, they're gonna walk up to this place, stick a needle in the arm, and they're gonna take his body, and then this meal, and for us this meal, and this meal, and this meal, and then the lights, and there's still the fluorescent light, and and he's just gonna, and I don't know how long this is gonna go on, and then but I would never say that, because I'm a Republican. I do believe in capital punishment. It's important to get people very excited about it. I think that's why we're seeing so much reporting. That's kind of the Illuminati reason why we're seeing so much reporting on capital punishment in the news, and people are seeing it presented. Of course, it's all individualized to a person, but a lot of people would probably agree with me that they're seeing AI bring up on their YouTube, if they look at YouTube and Google News, these executions that are happening, and they're clearing the queue. That's what I came up with when I came up with the Ultimate Justice Program, and I make a video about that. We got a big queue. We have to clear it too. We got to clear a queue in Nevada instead of just letting it fizzle out, and they can get, we got to clear the queue. We got to do this. We got to have ultimate justice. We're going to make it very fun for people. We're going to have televised execution, because the public has a right to see how it's the stringer. And the public has a right to see all of it, that these are people, that it's all done in public for people to see. We can have Fox execution channel, FS1, FS2, and there's going to be so much execution in America that they're actually going to have the Fox execution channel. It's going to be Fox News 2. There's going to be so much of it. I think we should have so much of it. And then Fox execution channel, the Ultimate Justice Program. And the people that use Ultimate Justice, people are going to really tune into that. We're going to talk about my execution method, the trademark execution method, Ultimate Justice. I'm the word in of, not really, but I'm the commissioner. I'm of Ultimate Justice there, and Las Vegas is Allegiant Stadium there with the press box, and they zoom in on me, and I'm going to wear a brown suit for it, like the wording down there, the commissioner of Ultimate Justice. Anyway, so we're seeing all this stuff about people getting executed. We saw the guy in Alabama, and that's just because the victims and perpetrators were so poor It wasn't a murder worth sending an angel to stop for the real gods among us, but I guess we'll hook up some small town DA with a monumental case to get his career off to an incredible start so he can be a small town hero with his state university law degree. Okay, that's the way it is. And this 5G blanket can do things to us, our bodies, and the cellular and atomic levels is where it's going to do this stuff to us. So it can deliver advanced life-extending medicine to elites wherever they are in the world, from the North Pole to the South Pole. But if you're too poor, cancer will kill you like it does everybody else in your community. And of course, depending on your ultra dynasty, trust estate planning, rich family, elite hookup sex program, you know, what your rich family hookup elite sex, it hooks you up with elites that are compatible with your identity template for elite family sex. And you get to dig the thong out of other gorgeous rich family women and smell their exclusive ass aromas and then go down on them, go to town on it. Stick your fingers in there and feel it clench against your inside. It really just everything about our humanity. So depending on that ultra dynasty trust estate planning template that they're using for your individual DNA oral signature, you don't need a chip in your hand. Mark of the beast, humanity's number. The devil gave it to you when the blood was spilled as you ripped out of your mother for your first gasp of air, and you were christened by the bloodshed of her pussy ripping down to her asshole. This is the blood pact, and this evil character known as God, the control mechanism of the elite's holy Roman meal, our daily bread, wants to interfere with how sacred each of our lives are. This irrevocable sacrament, our creator, Satan, everything. And so because of that, among the easiest mods to make to biological matter, which our bodies are, and it's a house of cards so full of water, it's a lot easier to mod than, say, rock or concrete or steel with this grid. And so we can use this system to amplify radiation and ultrasonic effects to it. As you can see, I really digress, but as you can also see, I always have to, so you have the backstory, you can understand it. Literally obliterate an embryo or fetus inside the woman's uterus, as the computers have calculated the genes of the mother and father, and you know how that's known. Since our sex and procreation is owned by the elites, they see it, they masturbate to it. They don't have the time to masturbate to all of it, but basically they use our sexuality and the fact that we have to make love to each other, just like going to a toilet, against us and keep us under 30-year mortgage slavery. So basically, our thrusting our penises into our wives is expressly, that's why they get to watch it on camera. Yeah, so this whole system can basically piece together photorealistic, you know, of anything happening in any room. Nothing's behind closed doors anymore, because everything, the position of a human and object is no. The same way that here's what everybody's saying to each other that way. So, and you can go back decades, maybe even longer. I don't know. And, you know, see if you're young enough, see, you know, you're a dad ejaculating into your mom's baby box, and where it happened, how it happened, if it was on a beach or if it was some dingy room in a trailer park. I don't know. It's stuff you could find out these days. So, and you can see your mom getting impregnated by your dad, almost like it's 4K porn or something. And it would be, you know, we have to, as all these cinema cameras are coming out in Hollywood, red cameras in the Canon Cinema system. It's like, the 1%, do they even have social security numbers? A metro police officer or a small town sheriff should be able to answer that for me. You know, you ask their computer in their car, ask the computer, but whatever, because even if the elites do have slave numbers, that's just part of the cover-up anyway. And since that's owned by the elites, and they have so much more multi-generational 1,000-year research on eugenics and human strength and agility than medical literature and Charles Murray, Dumb and Dumber, AEI Pond, so that he can have his academic trophy wife because he used so-called sociology to help the money people instead of steal the money, conflict theory, from the money people, all that research. So these computers calculated that the gene, because they saw who the mom was, saw who the dad was, saw the baby start in the baby box. And so these computers calculated that the gene isn't good. And as we've explained in videos on this channel, that means the child's genes are going to stink if we look at the traditional measure, like the genes you wear pants, of IQ as good, although it's a bit more complicated for, again, reasons I explained. And this genes your son's genes are going to stink because of the work-life balance of every other individual, and your offspring would stink genes. It's just that they're outliers, and that's why their genes stink. It's not as simple as their heads are too slow to wash their genes in addition to everything else they have to juggle. It's not that simple. I mean, that they're outliers is actually an amplified reality. So their demand for 5 people helping them and smell consultants, like I've talked about needing here on YouTube and on my websites, and people wiping and powdering their butts. You know, all rich have ultra. I think one of the prerequisites for being a multi-billionaire is that you have what's called a butt wiper you bring in. and there's a special ceremony. You know, the handling of your waste and the flushing down the toilet isn't something that's a personal experience. You know, there's people that are helping you, and it's because it's a religious experience. Of the question, like, you know, about, you know, mortality reflection, right? You think about, like, if a family member dies and they died either on the toilet or after using the toilet for whatever reason, you know, in hospice or whatever, you know, should there be something where we want to save the doo-doo, or do you flush the last doo-doo because it's the last remaining thing after the body's taken? But, you know, if you're a billionaire, everything about you, it's teeming with such energy. So, you know, even so, for whatever reason, I'm not saying everybody's ceremony is the same or that's the reason. I was talking about, maybe I'll put a link in this video to what my billionaire butt wiper ceremony would be. How, you know, the gold toilet at the center of the room and all corners being, you know, and I won't, I'll put a link to the video so you can watch it. And the, you know, the trumpets and the way that when the butt wiper does his duty, the way the waste is from all of the different wet wipes and dry wipes and powders that are used, well, special that we like and the smell we like, that was put into a certain kind of waste bag, a luxurious waste bag with my logo on it, and it's marched out of the room with this regal, given the respect and dignity. This is done in luxury. And, you know, and as my pants are pulled up and my belt is redone, and you know, experts come in to see if any more makeup, you know, to sit at the anchor desk like Yahi Tucker after making the doo-doo and all of it. So again, back to the script, I've talked about needing, and people wiping and powdering their butts if they're like that, they're going to need people doing that. They're going to have to be ultra rich, made ultra rich, as the reality TV cameras spin around them. The world is put under their spell. The tests of conceptualization themselves, and we talked about the obvious limits that come with being tested in the first place, taking a spinning wheelchair, where all these perfect spinning wheelchairs, and wheelchairing everyone into being his slaves in elementary school, so he can just draw the pictures in his head and talk about them. And when he has an idea for something like a trademark, say to take over an area like Brumpus Paradise or Fortunate's Home, for instance, Fortunate's Home here, there, here, and everywhere. Not just 3 places like the Principal Meridian strung about California. Fortunate's Home with Humboldt and San Bernardino, propping up Mount Diablo, Diablo Burger, Live Moss, go with the fire. From up here I can see everything, and never have I heard of the end. The meets and bounds story of our lives as we return invariably to the point of beginning. The greatest newsletter, Matthew Ursua, Meets and Bounds newsletter, Meets and Bounds, dispatches letters, TM, SM, everything, all of it on it, protected, and then we're going to register it, and it's going to be there, it's going to be on my apparel to always defend it. Then that can be put under his empire, like I put stuff under my empire that way. That's my empire, no matter where in the world you go, don't leave empty-handed. Matthew Ursua, monumental mission, my Boto, TM, SM, service mark. We do service mark, monumental mission, SM, Boto. This don't wait, this don't lie. That's mine. This don't wait, this don't lie. Boto. That's my new big trademark service mark thing, is the real estate. It's Boto. This don't wait, this don't lie. But they take that perfect spinning wheelchair, what said, "Soy little Satan, our creator, the damn on the," and remember the elites could say that they wanted weaker, less capable of manipulating physically and mentally as a docile people. So their children and grandchildren have a scatter plot of girls to run through and use up and eat up and sexually patronize, which doesn't count in what could be their perhaps strange religion. And I always wanted to run through a scatter plot of girls in elementary, and I did, and I got in a lot of trouble, and it really created a lot of problems, and that's why I'm glad I wrote once I was a reporter, because it shows what it leads to if we can't use them as our NFL dancers or whatever and program them to get our weak, sickly bodies up to speed when we know we need to start practicing to get that babies came into and lead, or just go to a party and be really alive, but all the trouble because sexual repression sets in, and because we're not rich family enough, and they have these wait until middle school to get a girlfriend stuff the teachers are saying. And it's complicated, definitely. In retrospect, I think Brandon actually might have been a little playful with Nicole himself, kind of warming her up for me when I got to the Magic Garden behind the 6th grade building, where cotton always fell from the cotton trees. And it turns out, what does someone from Hawaii know about cotton, right? It was the domestic symbol of lint from the laundry dryer exhaust from the houses above that, I knew that I was ready to own those houses with Nicole and start procreating inside the master bedroom, because among the many jobs someone can do before the age of 10 is real estate salesman. So real estate brokers and salespeople will only hate me for saying it because it's true. And they think it'll detract from their really nice profile and bio pages on their broker website that puts their university degree and everything. But you have to use a watered down economics if you have a business degree. So it's all practical, you know what it is. But I'm glad I wrote that book because it shows me begging Dr. Roth for more medication to fix me. And so no one can sue him for malpractice or anything because I asked for it. But the problem was confounded when he started drugging me at 12 or 13, which interfered with genital development and gave me man boobs. And whenever I developed, by the way, I never developed chest hair, never did. Until I was at Nye County Detention Center, I talked a little bit about it. All the push-ups and floor exercises and so-called burpees in my cell in those years, then I started developing chest hair, kind of right as about 6 months before my sentence, or not sentence, I was a pretrial inmate, but just in retrospect, it was going to be this long. It's about 6 months before I finally got out and I was released into the group home in there. I started getting chest hair for the first time because of all the exercising, and it's I was saying Hegseth was going to give the military testosterone, and the best testosterone therapy might be exercise. So I'm going to make a video about that. So this was when I was 33 years old, and again, they could use this ablation technology. It's to radio ablate the fetus. This ablation technology, and it can be activated from anywhere with the 5G radio waves. It's not something you have to go into an ultrasound therapist's office for a specialized doctor. They can do this to anybody, anytime they want, and a computer runs it. So this ablation technology, it could control the shape of the human genome and the speed of people and ability profiles of people selectively to meet their, the elites' GDP specs, the elites, so they can get what they want. They get what they want.